There aren't a lot of city builders that let you feel like you can roleplay a specific type of leader, so I immediately took a liking to the freedom Tropico 6 gives you to do just that. There's nothing stopping you from trying to build a communist paradise where everyone lives in haciendas and banana pickers make as much money as tech executives, or a brutal military dictatorship that only cares about how efficiently human lives can be turned into profitable exports. Nothing, that is, besides an unwieldy economy simulation that can quickly go belly up without giving you easy access to information on how to fix it. There's a lot going on across the inviting white sand beaches, bungalows, and lush jungle interiors of this version of Tropico, which looks great except for these weird eyesore waterfalls. Despite its relaxing environment, its politicking, trade, and mission systems kept me busier than any of its predecessors. Usually I didn't have a problem with that because the tools are pretty good. Laying roads, building houses, creating jobs, and ensuring access to public services is relatively easy to do, other than the fact that you can't zoom in or out when placing a building, and some of the logic that the road painter uses to get everything to snap together does not resemble our Earth logic. All the while, you have to keep the population happy with some combination of a stable food supply, healthcare, entertainment, protection from crime and war, and liberty. Some of these needs are in direct competition, which leads to interesting choices. Military buildings, for example, reduce liberty within their radius, but failing to build any will make you very vulnerable to attacks from rebel groups or foreign powers. Each citizen also belongs to a faction, such as the Communists or the Industrialists, which often have mutually exclusive desires that must be strategically fulfilled or ignored in a tense but enjoyable juggling act to keep your approval high enough to keep getting elected. You can subvert democracy in a pinch with bribes, assassinations, or rigging elections, but these all have meaningful consequences, such as reduced liberty or increased rebel activity. Keeping things legit can feel like constantly having to placate a room full of feuding preschoolers, but the trade-off is not having to worry so much about interrogating rebels and filling the islands with machine gun towers. Both styles of governing are enjoyable in their own way. The less entertaining side of Tropico 6 is the economy. It can be fulfilling to set up a production line that turns sugarcane into delicious rum to either increase the happiness of the locals or make you some big bucks on the export market. But no matter how much fiddling I did, I almost always found my island's economy to be a precarious leaning tower that could tip over at any time. You get access to plenty of data on citizen happiness, factory output, and market prices if you dig through the fairly easy-to-read menus, but the lack of aids for interpreting that information left me in a position where it was surprisingly hard to understand what was wrong exactly when my treasury took a dive. Not enough industry, too many service buildings, wages too high, some combination of all of the above. I ran into the same problems regardless of what kind of playstyle I attempted, including extreme austerity, which was frustrating. And since spending is very limited when you have a deficit, it can be almost impossible to fix a financial snag even if you do understand what's up. Having more ways to borrow money than a single one-at-a-time loan of 50 grand would have been nice. Also, if I were El Presidente for a day, one of my first edicts would be to demand a more diverse soundtrack. It's well done and fits the setting, but there are only so many hours of upbeat Caribbean trumpet music my sanity can handle before I need to turn that volume slider all the way down. The amount there is to do and the depth of its political mechanics make Tropico 6 stand out over its immediate predecessors. It's a tropical vacation worth taking when you're looking for an in-depth city builder with strong personality and a touch of humor, which is something of a rarity outside this long-running series. But drink too deeply of its perplexing economic systems and you may find yourself feeling a bit queasy. For more strategy and simulation, check out our reviews of 2 Point Hospital, Civilization 6 Gathering Storm, and My Time at Portia. And for everything else, stick with IGN.